Hi everyone, welcome to Smart English Class. CBSE Class 10 की इंग्लिश बुक फर्स्ट फ्लाइट का पहला चैप्टर अ लेटर टू गॉड एक बेहद दिलचस्प और भावुक कहानी है। एक ऐसी कहानी जो हमें विश्वास की असली ताकत सिखाती है। तो चलिए इसे एक एनिमेटेड स्टाइल में समझते हैं, जैसे हम कोई फिल्म देख रहे हों। तैयार हैं आप? चलिए शुरू करते हैं।
कहते हैं ना, सच्चा विश्वास पत्थर को भी पिघला देता है। आज की कहानी है एक ऐसे किसान की जो गरीब था, लेकिन उसका भरोसा सीधा भगवान पर था। टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड अ वेरी ब्यूटिफुल स्टोरी, अ लेटर टू गॉड। नाउ टेल मी, हैव यू एवर बिलीव्ड इन समथिंग सो स्ट्रांगली दैट यू हैड नो डाउट एट ऑल? एग्जैक्टली, यही कहानी है फेथ यानी अटूट विश्वास की। Gregorio Lopez y Fuentes, a celebrated Mexican novelist and poet, famous for portraying the struggles of rural life and indigenous people. उन्होंने गरीब किसानों की जिंदगी को अपनी कहानियों में उतारा। Before we open the textbook, close your eyes for just 10 seconds and imagine this scene. There is a valley, vast, quiet, green, and in that entire valley there is only one house. Just one. That house sits right on the crest of a low hill. Crest yani pahadi ki choti. Imagine standing on the very top of a hill, and from there you can see everything. The river winding far below, the fields of ripe golden corn, flowers dotting the crops like nature's own decoration. This is Lencho's world. And he is, as the author beautifully puts it, an ox of a man. Now students, ox of a man is an idiom, matlab बैल जैसा मेहनती आदमी, strong, tireless, a man who works from before sunrise to after sunset. But Lencho needed a downpour. Downpour यानी मूसलाधार बारिश. Without it, every seed he sowed, every hour he worked would be wasted, lost. So that morning, he didn't sit inside. He stood at his door, eyes fixed on the northeast sky, waiting. And then, the wind changed. The air suddenly grew fresh and sweet. हवा में एक ताजगी सी भर गई. Huge mountains of clouds began rolling in from the horizon. Lencho felt a deep joy. This is the rain he had been waiting for. The first raindrops began to fall. And in that beautiful moment, Lencho looked at those drops and compared them to new silver coins. The big drops, 10-cent pieces. The small ones, 5-cent pieces. For a farmer whose entire life depends on rain, every single drop meant money, meant survival, meant hope. But then, something changed. The wind grew stronger, violent. And suddenly, the rain turned into hailstones. Ole, small balls of ice falling from the sky. Those very silver coins had now turned into stones of destruction. For an hour, the hail rained on the house, the garden, the hillside, the whole valley. Everything was covered in white, like a blanket of salt. Not a single leaf remained on the trees. The corn, completely destroyed. The flowers, gone. And Lencho stood there, in the middle of his ruined field, looked at his sons and said, with quiet pain, a plague of locusts would have left more than this. Locusts, tidia, insects that come in swarms and destroy crops. Even they would have spared something, but this storm left nothing. Dear students, note an important thing here. The comparison of raindrops to new silver coins is a simile. ये लेंचो के मानसिकता को दर्शाता है। बारिश का मतलब पैसे और पैसे का मतलब जीवन यापन। But the irony? उसी नए सिक्कों ने ओलों में रूप बदल लिया और सब कुछ नष्ट कर दिया।
कितनी अजीब बात है ना? जब इंसान सब कुछ खो देता है, तब भी उसका विश्वास उसे जिंदा रखता है। And Lencho was living on that very faith.
That's what they say. No one dies of hunger.
Now here is where the story becomes extraordinary. Lencho had a soul full of grief, but he also had something unbreakable. विश्वास, जो टूटता नहीं, चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए. He wasn't just a simple, uneducated farmer. He knew how to read and write, and he believed completely and without doubt that God could hear him. So at the very break of dawn the next morning, he sat down and wrote a letter. Not to the government, not to a neighbor, not to a bank, to God. And here is exactly what he wrote. God, if you don't help me, my family and I will go hungry this year. I need 100 pesos in order to sow my field again and to live until the crop comes, because the hailstorm. Pesos, peso, ये मेक्सिको और कई लैटिन अमेरिकी देशों की मुद्रा है, जैसे हमारे यहाँ रुपया है. He needed 100 pesos, not a paisa more, not a paisa less. That was his calculation, exactly what he needed to restart his life. He folded the letter, went to town, bought a stamp, and dropped it into the mailbox. The address on the envelope? Just one word. To God. No street, no city, no pin code. Just God.
When the postman brought this letter to the post office, his first reaction was laughter. Completely natural. Who writes a letter to God? He laughed and showed it to others. But then the letter reached the postmaster. The postmaster was a fat, amiable man. Amiable यानी मिलनसार, दोस्ताना स्वभाव का इंसान. Someone kind, someone warm-hearted. He read the letter, and something in him changed. He didn't laugh. He became serious. And then he was deeply moved. He thought about Lencho's faith, unshakable, innocent, pure. And in that moment, he made a decision. ये विश्वास टूटना नहीं चाहिए. This faith must not be broken. So he decided to reply as God. But kindness alone doesn't pay bills. He needed money. So first he gave a part of his own salary. Then he went to his colleagues, then his friends. सबने मिलकर थोड़ा-थोड़ा दिया. It was truly an act of charity. People felt obliged to help. Obliged यानी उन्हें लगा कि ये उनकी जिम्मेदारी है. But even after all their efforts, they could collect only 70 pesos. Not 100, just 70. Still, with hope in their hearts, they placed the money in an envelope, addressed it from God, and sent it to Lencho.
The following Sunday, Lencho came to the post office earlier than usual. He collected the letter. He opened it, and when he saw the money inside, he was not surprised, not even slightly. Without a doubt, God had answered. The money had arrived. His faith in God was so unshakable that he couldn't imagine any other outcome. But then he counted the notes. 70 pesos, not 100. And Lencho's face changed. He felt anger. His logic was simple and absolute. God could not have made a mistake. God sent exactly 100 pesos. Someone stole 30. And so, right there at the post office counter, he sat down and wrote his second letter. God, of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest since I need it very much. But don't send it through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. Crooks. बेईमान लोग, चोर, ठग. Students, pause here and feel the irony. The postmaster sacrificed his own salary. His colleagues gave from their pockets. Together, they performed a quiet miracle of human kindness, and they were called thieves by the very man they were trying to help. So what does this story leave us with? God in human form. The postmaster is the true hero of this story. He represents the invisible kindness that exists in the world, the hidden hand of God, working not through miracles, but through ordinary people with extraordinary hearts. Faith versus gratitude.
Lencho had faith, but he lacked kritagnyata, gratitude, and perspective. He saw only the 30 pesos that were missing. He missed the miracle of the 70 that arrived. The glass was 70% full, but he only saw 30% empty.
Important questions and answers of the text, A Letter to God. Question 1. What did Lencho hope for? Lencho was a farmer who hoped for rain. His corn crops were fully grown and ready for harvest. He knew that without enough rain, his crops would fail. So he eagerly waited and watched the sky for a good shower. He believed rain would give him a good harvest and help him feed his family well. All his hopes depended on rainfall. Question 2. Why did Lencho call raindrops new coins? Lencho was a poor farmer. When rain started falling, he felt very happy. He compared big raindrops to 10-cent coins and small drops to 5-cent coins. For him, rain meant a good harvest and more money. He saw each raindrop as wealth coming from the sky. Rain was like earning money, so he called the drops new coins. Question 3. How did the rain change? What happened to Lencho's fields? At first, it rained normally and Lencho was happy. But soon a strong wind came with heavy hailstones. The hailstorm lasted about 1 hour. It completely destroyed Lencho's corn crops. The flowers on the plants also fell off. His entire field was ruined. All his hard work was wasted. The hailstorm left his fields looking totally empty and destroyed. Question 5. What were Lencho's feelings when the hail stopped? When the hailstorm stopped, Lencho felt very sad and hopeless. He looked at his ruined fields and felt deeply hurt. He knew that his entire crop was destroyed and nothing was left. He was worried about how he would feed his family for the whole year. He felt completely broken and could only think about the hard times coming ahead for his family. Question 6. What made Lencho angry? Lencho became angry because he received only 70 pesos instead of the 100 pesos he had requested from God. He strongly believed God never makes mistakes, so he thought the post office workers must have stolen the remaining 30 pesos from the envelope. This made him very upset and angry towards the post office employees. Question 7. Why did the postmaster send money signed as God? The postmaster was deeply moved by Lencho's strong faith in God. He did not want to break that faith, so he collected money from his colleagues and friends and sent it to Lencho. He signed the letter as God so that Lencho would believe God had truly answered his prayer. It was a kind and thoughtful act to protect Lencho's belief and help him in his difficult time. Question 8. Did Lencho try to find out who sent the money? Why? Why not? No, Lencho never tried to find out who sent the money. He was completely sure that only God could have sent it. His faith in God was very strong and unshakable. He believed God watches everything and answers every prayer. So he never doubted or questioned the source of the money. He simply accepted it as God's blessing and reply to his prayer. Question 9. What is the irony in the situation? The real irony is that Lencho suspected the post office workers of stealing his money. But in truth, those same workers had collected money from their own pockets to help him. They acted kindly to protect his faith in God. Yet Lencho called them thieves. The people who helped him became the ones he blamed. This is opposite of what was expected, which makes the situation deeply ironic and amusing.